about the trans swimmer Leah Thomas who kept winning races. He said, "This is messed up, man. There needs to be an asterisk next to those wins." And I said, "I call." He goes, "Exactly." I said, "No, that you care about women swimming." I've known you for quite some time. I've never heard you mention it. This outrage rings insincere. And he said, "What if I have a daughter?" And I said, "You won't. You're 55 and you have a roommate. I don't think it's going to happen for you." He said, "What if I raise a girl who turns out to be an Olympic swimming champion?" I said, "If you can find someone dumb enough to let you inside her, I can pretty much guarantee that kid is not going to grow up to be a winner, okay?" He was pissed off. He said, "It could happen. I never wear condoms." I said, "You never wear condoms and you don't have a kid? It's too bad your sperm isn't a trans woman who would know how to swim."
What did you make of it?
Okay. So y'all just heard that little snippet of a stand-up from a comedian by the name of Sam Morril. Now, I've never heard of this comedian before, but this was sent to me by one of my followers on Twitter, and shout out to them. And as you can hear in his stand-up, he was making a joke about trans individuals, in specific Leah Thomas. Now, this is going to segue into a couple of things. One of them being the straight up hypocrisy of a certain group of people when it comes to white comics versus black comics when they make the same type of a joke. Now, if y'all remember, Dave Chappelle got hit with so much scrutiny from people, some people who worked for Netflix and those outside of Netflix who had no connection to the network or the platform, I should say, at all. None whatsoever. Now, this guy, Sam Morril, also did his stand-up, what you just heard that joke, for Netflix. Now, I don't know when he actually did this because it was posted about 2 days. Well, I'm recording this on the 5th. It was posted about a day or two ago, so it's fairly recent. And he made a joke about trans people. But the outrage, if there's any at all, was not met with the same vitriol as it was with Dave Chappelle. And it's crazy because the whole Dave Chappelle situation happened almost a year ago. It's crazy how time flies by so fast, because I believe his stand-up when he was doing this happened around like towards the end of September or sometime in October. And we are now in the beginning of September. But according to Independent, this guy, Sam Morril, was praised for what they say as being genuinely funny with his stand-up about trans people. I'm trying to figure out. See, you got to pay attention to these words. They said he was genuinely funny. In other words, they felt that they could laugh at his joke and not be offended by it. But when Dave Chappelle said it, oh, he was going to make trans people be attacked. They were going to find a way to increase hate against trans people and all types of stuff. Even when he talked about his friend who was trans and how it was that person who actually defended Dave Chappelle and how Dave Chappelle defended them and actually helped them get a platform. But it was people within the academy who was the ones who in a way contributed to this person committing suicide, because they would say, oh, you're this and you're that. See, they don't want to talk about the verbal abuse from within their own community. They'll put it off on anybody that they possibly can, especially if that person is a black man. But I remember they made a whole big fuss about the Dave Chappelle situation, even doing some of the most unethical of things. And y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, because I remember I did a whole series of videos about that. I'll never forget. It was like a saga. Like, they wanted to cancel Dave Chappelle so bad, but every little tactic, and they used a lot of tactics, did not work. I think the nail in the coffin was when the CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, pretty much just said, look, we are about to dead this. No more of this is going to happen. And then Dave Chappelle kept getting more deals, and they were fighting an uphill battle that they could not win. They had to have known that. But when it comes to this Sam Morril guy, and he's talking about Leah Thomas, They said that he's being praised for being genuinely funny. Like, you got to really think about what they're saying when they say genuinely funny. I guess in a way, his stand-up felt a little bit more safe, I guess, when it came to talking about trans individuals or ones that they felt like, oh, they weren't being attacked. But my thing is this: even if he was, the outrage is still not there. But they had to make it seem like Dave Chappelle was the big black boogeyman. And we all know why. We all know why. They had to try to bring him down a peg. And whenever Dave Chappelle pushed back against them, they felt they were being attacked even more because they felt like they had some kind of ownership or some kind of dominating force over him. And it was a lot of people who were PC in that community that were doing the leading of the charge. That's why I keep telling black people who are in the academy, they are not your friends. Y'all can scream from the highest mountain with the loudest bullhorn and say that black people are the most homophobic, transphobic, biphobic, whatever phobic you can think of. That really doesn't make any sense because y'all are operating outside of the bounds of the word phobic. But y'all really better pay attention to your PC counterparts. And the thing is, a lot of them know that. A lot of them know that. But if they want to continue to have a voice, quote unquote, they will continue to align themselves with them. But you're only going to continue to be the mascot. Think about Flame Monroe for a second. Flame Monroe is a drag queen. I don't know if they identify themselves as a drag queen or not, but they dress in drag. That is a black person who dresses in drag, who is probably one of the most on-code individuals in that community, and they hate Flame Monroe for it because they tell it like it is. They do not like Flame Monroe with a passion. Flame Monroe was one of the few people in that community that came to Dave Chappelle's defense when all of that stuff was happening. Like, they got up on a platform, even as far as going on to CNN and interviewing with people like Don Lemonade, or Donna Lemonade as I call him, because Donna, he operates at the beat of whatever rhythmless drum his PC paymasters will tell him to tap dance to, and he will do it and on cue, not necessarily on beat, but on cue. And Donna was up there trying to lecture Flame Monroe about why Flame was wrong for coming to the defense of Dave Chappelle. But we all know Don is off code and has been off code. As far as I'm concerned, Donna's days is numbered at CNN. The chips are falling all around him. He doesn't have his bosom buddy, Chris Cuomo, there with him anymore. It is what it is. But like I said, Flame Monroe is probably one of the most on-code individuals in that community. And they do not like them for it, whether they are PC or black. And of course, you know, Flame is black. But that also brings me to another discussion when it comes to the hypocrisies of people in that community versus of how they responded to this Sam Morril guy versus how they respond to black people who are comedians. Because this brings up another comedian that faced scrutiny for some tweets involving the academy. How many of y'all remember this? Do y'all remember when Kevin Hart was asked to host the Oscars? I believe in 2019 or 2019 Oscars, I believe he was asked to host. And, you know, of course, who's going to turn it down? This would have been his first time hosting the Oscars. This was a very big moment for him in his career to get asked to host a show such as the Oscars. And all of that came crumbling down when they did some digging to find some tweets from him 10 years prior. We're talking about they dug back to 2009 to find some tweets that they deemed homophobic and said, yeah, we can't have that on our show. So they snatched away an opportunity for Kevin Hart to have. And the thing is, Kevin Hart, as far as I remember, was already locked in to host the Oscars. So when they dug up those tweets and said, nah, we're not going to have him, they took that opportunity away from him even after he was locked in. I don't know if he got paid yet or not. If he did, so be it. But they were left without a host that year. I remember that. The year that Black Panther was nominated and won all those awards, I think was the year he was supposed to host. And because of that, they literally were left hostless. That was the first time in a very long time that the Oscars didn't have a host. And it's not because they couldn't find anyone to do it. It's because they took the opportunity away from this man at the last minute. Because the Oscars aired, I think, in February of that year. So it was no way they were going to find a host that quickly to replace him. So what did they do? They had all the different stars present awards to the winners. And instead of having a host to kind of run the show, there just wasn't no host. Like, they made a big deal out of it. And the thing is, the tweets that he made wasn't even in bad taste, but they escalated it into that. They made it a bigger deal than what it was. Again, going back to this Sam Morril guy, a PC comedian I've never even heard of, made genuinely funny, in their words, jokes about the trans community. And there's no outrage. Again, and he had a Netflix special just like Dave Chappelle. But they came down hard on Dave Chappelle. And I think it's mainly because of two things. One is the obvious. Dave Chappelle is black. And two, Dave Chappelle's a way more known comedian. So they figured they can go after him. Just like with Kevin Hart, a way more well-known comedian who just happens to also be black. So they can go after him. I never heard of this Sam Morril guy before. Y'all can let me know down in the comments or in the chat. Have you heard of this guy before? Has he been on any shows or what have you? Never heard of him. But the other obvious thing is PC. Like I said, notice the tone. They said he gave genuinely funny jokes. But Dave Chappelle, oh, his jokes are transphobic. He's attacking the trans community. He's going to cause us to get attacked. I don't know one person who's in the trans community, or can think of, because I don't know anyone there, who got attacked behind his jokes. I think they even try, and if they did, I think they try to make some stuff up to say, oh, his jokes is affecting our livelihoods. We aren't safe. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. They did everything they could to try to cancel this man, and nothing worked. That man continued to go on and win, and they continued to go on and throw tantrums and whine and complain and moan and groan until they couldn't do it no more. Kevin Hart, oh, his tweets are homophobic. And the thing is, the tweets that he was making was I think it was towards his son. I think wanting to play or playing something about playing with a dollhouse. I forgot what the context was, but I think it was a line with something about a dollhouse or something like that. And they made a big deal about it from a tweet from 10 years ago. And it wasn't even a series of tweets. It was just like one tweet. They made it seem like this guy went on a whole tirade. But yeah, like I tell you, that's the definition of fake outrage if I've ever seen it. In my honest opinion. That's why I cannot take them seriously. I can't. They can try to come up with any excuse they can, say why he's not getting quote unquote canceled, this guy right here. But Dave Chappelle should be. Kevin Hart should be. Keep trying to tell people what it is. But if they don't want to listen, and I'm talking about those who are black in the academy, if they want to be willfully ignorant and not see and not see the forest from trees, that's on them. But I'm going to go ahead and conclude this commentary. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell to be notified. If the bell does not, for some reason, not work, I upload my videos in a Premiere style format, which means that the notify me button should be in the bottom left or the bottom right corner of the thumbnail. Click that and you should be notified when this video goes live. The links will be down in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.